Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is still Thursday, January 5th, 2023. I didn't screw that up yet, but I will. This is my post-market wrap-up. People, look, I honestly and sincerely hope you're paying attention to what's happening here, especially forget about the stock market for 5 freaking seconds here, all right? Yes, stocks finished lower today. Dow fell about 300 points. The Nasdaq took the biggest hit. Okay, whatever. What's driving this? What's driving this route in the markets lately? It's as clear as day to me. And it should be as clear as day to you because I give you the tools to watch this. I tell you exactly what you should be following. Now, with that said, lately, just over the past several days, we've seen some very, I want to say, interesting, troubling moves here with regard to global bond yields. For weeks, we had this slow pace of rising rates. And then all of a sudden, by some miracle, over the last several days, rates came down precipitously. Then they came back up a little bit. And then now they're kind of like, I don't want to say stabilizing, but we're going to need to watch this, honestly. This is clearly, absolutely crystal clear to me. Again, another sign that the monster bubble of them all by exponents, people, this global debt bubble, which continues to be fueled by runaway central banks who are determined to crush you to death, literally, well, it's unstable. And it would take almost nothing, in my view, to allow this ticking time bomb to simply go off. Now, a couple of things happened today. I outlined this earlier. I said, watch the relative strength of the dollar, and we had a big move higher today. Now, this does not mean, look, I can't tell you people how many emails I get a day. People asking about, well, Greg, the dollar is stronger. You keep saying that the dollar is getting weaker, but the dollar appears to be stronger. People, look, how many times do I have to explain this? I don't know. And maybe I'm getting new people here. But yes, let's look at the dollar on a relative strength basis again today. It did gain. In fact, it gained a lot. That was fear, as I covered earlier. But when you're looking at the dollar relative strength, relative means comparing it to other currencies. I've covered as of late, which I believe is going to be a big theme moving forward from right here. And I said from years ago that you and I would witness the relative strength of the dollar remain high. But that does not mean that the dollar's purchasing power isn't being sucked out deliberately every single day. As a matter of fact, every single central bank issued note today is having its purchasing power deliberately removed. Henceforth, why we're seeing inflation here. And the lie, the distortions are still being propagated by this Fed president and this freak and the mainstream channels. Oh yeah, Fed's gonna keep raising rates. It's gonna finally, at one point, it's gonna make a difference. Hasn't done a damn thing yet, but at one point it's going to. And this is a fable. It's a tale. What they're doing, and you know this, is they're killing demand. How do you kill demand? Let me ask you that question. It should be a very simple one to answer here. You kill demand by pressuring the consumer. I would say most of you out here are under pressure. Yes, the economy continues to free fall on a global level because consumers are getting crushed. And this is the real reason, the actual reason that you're not supposed to know about why central banks collectively continue to raise rates and will continue to do so. I imagine this is what we're hearing now. But I'm telling you, look, if you are anybody out here who has a public voice, I'm calling on you. Maybe you're a congressman. Maybe you're a representative of the people. Maybe you're someone with guts here. Start to bring to light why it is or isn't that central banks are not forcing financial institutions to hold capital in reserve, which would do what? It would contract the money supply and poof, there goes inflation. You see, you're never going to hear this. And this is what drives me nuts. I know I talk about it pretty much every freaking day here. It's not going to stop, okay? Central banks have the world by the throat. They control the media. They control especially the financial channels, who will never, ever, ever have a guy like me out to explain what we could do to control inflation. Now, I understand that our puppet representatives probably have their mouths taped shut along with their eyeballs and plugs in their ears because they must follow a specific narrative. But just imagine for a second that we had somebody, me, for example, I don't know, I'm more than willing to appear before a congressional committee and explain to them what they should do, but they won't allow it. You see, a person like me who would shed light onto what's actually going on and how we actually control inflation, we're going to be silenced. I'm surprised I'm still out here. I don't have a freaking bullet in my head or something along those lines. Look, it's such a twisted situation here. Inflation. Yesterday, right out of their mouth, the Federal Reserve, inflation is going to remain high for the foreseeable future. And that's where you got creatures like Lex Luthor, Neil Kashkari saying, oh, the Fed's going to keep raising rates. Now, speaking of that, we heard from the IMF today, the International Mafia Fund. Now, I want to bring something to your attention here. If you recall, weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, could have been longer than that, we had the International Mafia Fund coming out explaining that the stance that central banks are taking right now, being aggressive, raising rates, was alarming and troubling to them, the IMF, and they believed that this was going to cause the global economy to face a terrible moment moving forward. Now, this tune has completely changed. So I want to read this to you, verbatim. IMF, which initially said that the Federal Reserve's aggressive stance on raising rates would hurt the world economy. Clearly, that's what it's designed to do. I mean, come on, people. They're admitting this. They're trying to crush demand. They're doing so by crushing the people. All right, so we got this. Would hurt the world economy is now saying, the IMF is now saying that the Federal Reserve must continue to raise rates moving forward. Why do you think, in your opinion here, we have this, I don't know, complete 180 with regard to the IMF's perspective on this? Understand they're a player in this too. Maybe they were let in on the big secret here, that the fact of the matter is that central banks are going to push harder and harder and harder on the world economy. Because why? What are they trying to do? You know what central banks are trying to do: to fulfill their end game, to be the freaking lenders, I almost said a different word, and buyers of last resort. Why do you think things are the way that they are? Budgets that we can't have a budget. We have to continue to have stopgap measures. Why? Trillions of dollars are being pulled into the now to fund this project and that project. Why? Wars are going to go on and expanded on. Everything you could dream about here. Because again, all of this is a mechanism to allow the central banks to continue to do what? To inflate, which is their final solution. Their final solution, people, is to exterminate a large portion of the global population. And they're doing so right now by pushing these people to the lower rung of society, as you are well aware of, creating this two-tier society, and then they're going to pull the plug on the entire financial system. Pandemonium around the freaking world is going to break out when that happens. And then, of course, the new system is going to be introduced. We all know this. Anyway, and of course you got the freaking fear, the fear being propagated. The World Health Organization is very concerned now about this new XBB.1.5 Omicron variant, saying it has a growth advantage. Okay, so it's very effective, remember that word, in attacking or whatever they're trying to make you afraid of. I think it's 100% shit, but that's just me. Okay, you go ahead and make up your own mind on about all of this here. So we heard from Fed President Bullard, and he's saying, listen to this. This is what really gets to me. I hate these people. Nobody in the world, I think, despises central bankers more than me. And I think you probably all were. Maybe it's you. Maybe you do too. But Fed Bullard is saying, sometime this year, In 2023, he sees through his crystal ball, his magic, how he's doing it here, that inflation may, notice that word, start to wane. Okay, but we just heard just from the Fed the other day that it's going to continue to remain sustained for the foreseeable future. You see what they do? They always play this game. This freak says that, another freak says this. It's all designed to keep people off balance, but you and I, we see through all the crap. We know exactly what's going on here. I want to bring this to your attention as well. In fact, let's do something together. You and I have literally the ultimate tool, and I mean ultimate tool, to gauge risk in this market. And I believe, it looks to me right now, that something is about to happen. Okay, right in the description of this video is a link to the MMRI. Okay, I want you to click on that. I'm gonna open it in a window. We're gonna go over something together. So right in the description, MMRI, you're gonna see a link. Click on that link. I want to talk with you through this. Okay, so I'm gonna open up another window here myself, and I'm gonna open up the MMRI. All right, I want you to pay attention to something that's going on here. And I think it clearly deserves just a minute of your time. So just scroll down just a little bit. You see the MMRI. Now, right now, Mannarino Market Risk Indicator, as I am looking at it, and I'm sure you are too, it's at 242.1. Look at the trend here of the MMRI going all the way back to the left-hand corner of this chart here from March 22 to where we are now. Now, I want you to look at, you see all this little squiggly lines? You see the dip? We had a dip here in March 22. We had another dip August of 22. And we have this dip here end of December. We're starting to go higher. Now, if you draw a line right here on all of those dips, just imagine in your head, and then a line to the peaks, you can see a channel. We're in a channel. Right now, near the bottom of that channel, it looks to me, if this continues, the MMRI is going to be way above 300, and it could be within the next few months. And I'm going to tell you right now what that means. If the MMRI were to spike over 300, that means that the debt market is showing us some serious issues here, and the relative strength of the dollar is doing its thing as well. If the MMRI breaks 300, I'm going to tell you right now, the market is not going to like it. All hell could possibly break loose, and I want you to keep your eye on that, the MMRI. This is an amazing tool for those of us who know what we're looking at. It measures risk in real time. It's not a crash indicator, but if you pay attention to that, you'll see things. For example, we had the MMRI elevated this morning. The relative strength of the dollar, as I covered earlier, higher this morning. And what did it do? It hit the stock market. Do you see what I'm talking about? It really is an amazing tool if you know how to work it. A couple of other things I wanted to, just real quick. I get a lot of questions about why I believe in commodities, why I want people to hold commodities moving forward here. I'm not saying that if you buy a commodity ETF or anything, it's going to just automatically start going up. What you and I are doing by holding gold and silver and all this lovely stuff that we have all over the place here, and by exposing ourselves to commodities here via an ETF or whatever it might be, an exchange-traded fund, is we're setting ourselves up for the eventual movement of cash, which is going to happen. Okay, debt market meltdown, going to crush the stock market. Cash is just going to move from one set of assets into another. And I continually get this question. Like I said, maybe I'm getting some new subs and they're new here. I'm pretty sure I outline this all the time. But I want you to be aware of what's happening here. Raise your awareness. Share this stuff. Get it out there. People, I don't know another way to say this, and I'm gonna say it again. We need to end central banking. Central banking is a curse upon this world. Wherever you live in the world, you're a slave to their system. How did this happen? How did we allow this to happen? Oh, but make sure you focus on the House Speaker thing. Forget about what's going on with central banks destroying the global population on a grand scale here, on a mission to own it all, own the freaking world. No, focus on this. That's what you need to focus on. You see what they do to you? Do you see what they do to you? And it's the same game that is played over and over again. All right, this guy here loves you, and I mean that from the heart. We got to band together. We're all in on this together. And we're going to get through this freak show together, no matter what they do. All right, we got each other, and that's it. And I think that's important. All right, with that said, I will see all of you in the morning. I want to hear from you. Please comment. And, well, that's all. Okay.